In this video, we're going to be going over an AI agent that's going to skyrocket your acceptance rate into jobs and at least text back rate as well. So what this AI agent does is it simply takes your generic resume and the job listing that you provided. It takes it and then it gives you a new resume and a cover letter in the form of a file that you can simply upload to these job applications. Now, this idea came to me when I was in class actually, and my counseling professor was talking about his time working as a hiring manager. Now, what he was saying was that when he was a hiring manager, he could immediately tell right off the bat from 5 seconds of reading through someone's resume whether that resume was tailored to that job or if it was generic. Now, what this means, a generic resume is simply the basic resume that you made, maybe from like a Canva template or simply from what you've seen on Google. You simply make it specifically for yourself and it's just all about you and it's not really anything about this specific job that you're applying for. Now, what people who have to apply to hundreds and hundreds of jobs to get one text back do is they send their generic resume. Now, what this means is that they're sending the same thing over and over and over, simply to a bunch of different jobs. Now, this is good if you send it in volume. For example, if you're applying to maybe like 100 jobs a day, which is really crazy. But if you are doing that, then realistically, you'll probably get a response since you're doing it in such high volume. The average people who only do maybe like 20 or 30 will not get that much volume because they're not doing enough and they're not going to get many responses back. Now, the thing is, if nothing changes about the way that you do something, the results won't change either. So the thing is, a lot of people keep sending their generic resumes and expect something to change. Now, you might get lucky and you might apply to a job where there's not any other applicants and you can get that job. This is very unrealistic, with AI taking lots of jobs, a lot of layoffs and everything. It's very unrealistic. So what my counseling professor said is that in his time as a hiring manager, he would immediately reject anybody who sent them a generic resume. Now, from the job listing, you can tell it always has a couple bullet points like responsibilities, what we're looking for, preferred qualifications, that type of thing. For example, if one of the responsibilities is working in a team, then you want to immediately start talking about your experience working in a team and that type of thing. If you have an amazing generic resume, then it could work because it could cover a bunch of different topics of many common job applications. But what we want is we want to tailor our resume and cover letter, if needed, to every single different job listing and job application. And we want to send it because that's going to give us a much higher rate. Now, the thing is, what we need to do is we need to make a different resume. Now, essentially what we're going to do is we're just going to change a couple of the bullet points in some of our resumes. So if, for example, if we have our main resume, which is generic, and we see, oh, this job application wants people who worked with AWS, who have experience with AWS. So immediately in my latest job experience, I'm going to talk about how I use AWS. Instead of talking about how I was making projects, I'm going to highlight the fact that I use AWS for it. Now, this is simply tailoring our resume for this specific job listing. This is going to really boost our chance of getting at least a text back, at least an interview, at least some type of kind of communication here. Now, the idea behind this is simply to be able to get real responses. Now, the thing is, this would take pretty long. Realistically, if you're job searching, you don't have enough time to tailor every single resume, and it's so much easier to just apply in huge volumes or use another bot that simply goes for you and takes your resume, immediately applies. Especially what's annoying that I find is that if they require a cover letter as well, then I have to go to ChatGPT, I have to write it, and even that takes some time. So what would be really helpful is if AI makes it for me and I could just download it and immediately send it to them. So that's what this AI agent does. Now, usually AI agents are made in NAN or other platforms, but today I'm actually going to be using make.com. But before we get into the actual making of the agent and how this agent works, I'm going to show you guys just the technologies that it works with. So essentially, you can go on Indeed, on Google, any type of job searching place, any type of job searching platform. All you need is the job listing. That's all you need. And you have to supply your generic resume as well. Now, how this one works is that it takes in job listings from this specific Google Sheets. I connected it to my make.com scenario, my AI agent. And all it is one column. At the front, you can see job listing. Now, this Google Sheet, anytime there's a new row, meaning anytime I put in another job listing for a different job, my make.com scenario is going to take it, it's going to make me a resume and a cover letter, and then it's going to shove it into this Airtable. Now you can integrate it however you want. As you can see here, it gives me the position name, and then it gives me the resume and the cover letter. It's going to put it into my Google Drive, and it's going to say you haven't applied yet. So just from this table, I can just immediately click on this to download it. And as you can see, if I click on it right away, 3, 2, 1, and it downloads. You can see it went up there and it downloaded it. Updated resume 6, so that's for the 6th job, and it gives you the cover letter as well. All I would have to do is manually take this file, go and submit this application. Now, this is going to take a lot of time, but all you have to do is, you don't have to go to ChatGPT, write it yourself, write the prompt to write it yourself, or anything like that. Everything works through this make.com scenario, which is right over here. Now, I have the scenario JSON file that you can copy and paste. You can just simply import it through here. For example, you go to import blueprint. If you've had a little bit of experience with make.com, you know how to import blueprints. You know that you have to kind of change everything. For example, I have a lot of integrations, more personal integrations here. You're just going to select the JSON file. For example, I have a lot of Google Sheets, OpenAI, Google Drive, Airtable. For all of this, you have to connect your own account. Especially for OpenAI, you have to put in your own API key and everything like that. But without further ado, let's get into making the agent. Now, if you've clicked on this video and you've made it this far, you're probably maybe struggling to find a job, honestly, or you're really looking for a job and you're just struggling to kind of tailor your resume or try to actually get a different resume every single time to try to get a better rate of text back or anything like that. So of course, this automation is going to take some time to build. It took me some time as well to build it. So I'm not going to go step by step with you guys. I'm going to, of course, explain every single step, but I'm simply this JSON file that you can import into your own make.com in the Notion template in my description. And all you have to do, you take that JSON file, make sure it's a JSON file, so make sure it's the correct one. You're going to click on import blueprint. You're going to choose that file, and it's going to have, now all you have to do is you have to go into here and you have to replace some of the things. You have to let it run and you have to basically change it based on however you want. So right now, I'm just going to go through how this AI agent works, all of these nodes, these modules, the connections, and how it works. So of course, here in this Google Sheets, our first thing in any AI agent is our trigger. So our trigger comes from Google Sheets. It's going to watch for new rows. Every 15 minutes, it checks for new rows. And it checks this spreadsheet ID. Of course, after you import the JSON file, the template, you're going to have to import your own spreadsheet. And then, of course, you have to fill out all of this. And all you have to do is you have to add this connection. You just simply log in with your Google, and it's going to have the connection to your Google Sheets. Now, once it sees a new row, it's going to get that cell, and it's going to get the contents of that cell. For example, here, this one is a little bit unnecessary, but this is just to narrow it down more. For example, cell is going to be A, since we only have one column, which is the first column, and the only thing that changes is the row number. So this row number is all we need, and we give it the spreadsheet ID, and it simply gets the job listing for us. Now we move over to this hard part. Of course, I'm going to have any longer prompts inside of the Notion website, which is down in the description. You can simply copy and paste it, but you're going to have to make this personal to you because you're going to have to make your generic resume and you're going to have to upload it here. So here in OpenAI, in this OpenAI node, you're going to have to put in your own API key. But all we're doing here is we're simply telling it this prompt. Now, this is a really important part. This sentence right here, or actually these two sentences right here. These two sentences right here are agent, its role. Now, the role of an AI agent is what really allows it to flourish, because AI agents are simply just like ChatGPT, except they can actually take action for you. Now, even in ChatGPT, it's best prompting practice to give it a role, kind of give it like a role-playing game so that it feels like it is that person, it has that identity, then it works a lot better. So all of this stuff you've been hearing about, like people prompt engineers and everything like that, all they really do is they just make really good prompts, which get better results than the average person do with ChatGPT. So this first sentence right here is very important because it gives the role of a resume optimizer. Now we give it the job listing details, and this all of this is going to be covered in my Notion. You just have to copy and paste it. Or actually, it's already going to be in here when you import it, but you are going to have to replace one specific section. So I use ChatGPT, and I told it to convert my normal resume into a more generic resume, only text. So then our AI can take this and actually replace the things that it needs to do. Because essentially all that we really need to do to tailor this resume, to our needs, to our job applications, for the different job applications, is right over here. In the experience, we want to highlight different things every single bullet point to target what they're looking for. We want to be the perfect candidate. It's like selling the perfect offer. If the offer is perfect, they're going to want to buy it. They're going to buy it. So it's like that. Here, you're just going to have to simply replace this generic resume details. Now, this prompt is also going to be in my Notion site in the description. Simply take it, copy and paste it if you need, and make sure you use ChatGPT to write this generic resume in text for you, because you can also do it through a file, but you're going to have to work a little bit more for that. You're going to have to connect these two modules of Google Drive file, and then ChatGPT is going to have to interpret that. I would just recommend just use ChatGPT to make this generic resume into text, your generic resume into text, and then pass it over here in the prompt. Now let's go through the instructions. It takes in the job listing. It makes sure it has the job listing details, and then it analyzes it to find the key qualifications, skills, what they're really looking for. Now, it's going to rewrite our resume to highlight these skills right off the bat. Whenever you see your resume, right off the bat, even just in the first page, right near the top, you can always see the latest job experience that this person had. Now, we want this job experience to pop out because we want to target the specific skills that they're looking for. And this is what it's going to do. Then it's going to make sure that it's formatting correctly so we don't have to go over it ourselves. And it's going to return it in the form of text. Now, after that, all that happens is it goes over to Google Drive and it creates a file into whatever folder I want with this text. Now, this is really important here because this is not possible in N8N. You're going to have to connect some APIs and you're going to have to do some code. Of course, this entire AI automation space, the beauty of it is that we're not doing any code at all. We're just connecting a couple nodes together. I tried this in N8N and it was quite a headache, so I just turned this over to make.com. And as you can see here, we're able to simply create a file right off the bat. Now, to get this connection, you are going to have to go over to Google Cloud. Let me show that right now. So in Google Cloud, you go over here to this console. You're going to have to make your account. And what you have to do, I'm not going to show step by step, of course, because I want this to be a very quick tutorial. You're going to make your app, and then you're going to go over to APIs, which, let me move my face, is right over here, APIs and services. Search up, go to enable APIs and services, and then search up Google Drive API. That's all we need because it covers all the sheets and everything. And then you're going to go over here to credentials. You're going to make yourself an OAuth 2.0 client ID. All you have to do is you click create credentials and then OAuth client ID. All you have to do is you simply follow this form, and then it's going to give you a client ID and a client secret. This is very quick. Just replicate it right away. As you can see here, I have my client ID. I don't want to show my client secret, but that's all you need to be able to do this Google Drive connection over here. Now, it's a lot of security, so you're going to have to do this. You don't have to do it for Google Sheets, but you have to do it for Google Drive. And then over here, all you're going to do back in make.com, let's say we had a Google Drive node. If we wanted to make an account, you're going to have to add it. And you click on Show Advanced Settings. And here you put the client ID and the client secret. Then all that's left to do is you click on over here. You're going to be login with Google. And it's going to be just like any login with Google thing you've ever seen. That's it. It's pretty simple. It took me quite a long time to figure it out, but it's pretty simple. Anyways, it goes into our Google Drive. It makes this file, which is just a TXT file. And now we have our resume. So after we have our resume, a lot of jobs also ask for a cover letter. Now, I'm in the computer science space, so a lot of jobs are always asking for cover letters. I find it pretty annoying, to be honest, because I don't really know what the point of a cover letter is. I feel like the resume is enough to realize whether someone's good enough to work at your company and do these projects for you. But that's just my opinion. Of course, companies have their own reasoning. Anyways, now we're going to make our cover letter. Of course, I can rename this. You can rename this to whatever you want when you put this template inside of your own make.com account. Of course, just so you guys know, this is all free. You can have 2 active scenarios, and this whole thing is 1 scenario. So this is more than enough. Free version is more than enough to be able to do all of this. You are going to have to pay for an OpenAI API key, but that's also very cheap. I got one a couple months ago for $5, and it's lasted me until now. So it's all very cheap. Now, all we have to do in this OpenAI node is we make the cover letter. So in this over here, again, we give it a role. You are an AI-powered cover letter generator. Your task is to take a user's resume and a specific job listing and generate a great cover letter, make it ready to submit. This is another really important part. We have to make sure that this file is immediately ready to submit. Whenever you ask ChatGPT to make a cover letter for you, it always gives you so many different placeholders because it doesn't know these details. But since you gave it the generic resume, it easily knows your name, phone number, email if you put it there, and it's able to make a really good cover letter for us. Now, all we have to do is, again, very similar to the resume. We're going to give it the job listing details, which goes through here, all the way down here. Job listing details, right there. And then we tell it, make sure you have everything, and then analyze job listing, just like we did for the resume, to find key qualifications, skills, whatever it is that they're looking for. Because we want to be the candidate that they're looking for. We want to be the perfect candidate. So then all we're going to do is we're going to tell ChatGPT, make this cover letter for us. Of course, here, since it doesn't have a memory node at all, we're going to have to provide the generic resume as well. So simply replace this part all the way down with your own generic resume. Make sure it's just a bunch of text that really encapsulates your resume into one little paragraph or a couple of paragraphs. Of course, this max completion tokens, you don't have to worry about it, but you can lower it if you want to make sure that you're getting your money's worth out of your API key. And then all we do from here, we go over to this Google Drive node, okay? And same thing as before. It's going to save this into the resumes folder. You can make another one if you want. I just did resumes just for ease of use. And it's going to make a cover letter file with our cover letter. Then we simply go back to OpenAI and we tell it, get the job position. What is this position about? For example, if I give it this job listing, it can immediately tell. If you read a job listing, you know what this job is about. So simply to make this Airtable look very nice, all we're going to do is say, this is the job listing, just output the name of the position alongside with the position. So example would be a software engineer at Okta. Now, this is very simple. Here, of course, you can see I didn't give it a role, but that's completely fine because this is nothing complicated. It's just some legwork type of stuff. Then in the Airtable, all you have to do is you have to make this Airtable connection, and you give the base, the table, and of course, everything is already going to be set up when you make this table, and that's all you need. Now, the thing is, this Airtable integration is a little bit unnecessary. I think it looks really nice because here, if you click on the link, you can immediately download it, and that's even faster. And it gives you the position so you know what you're applying to, and you're able to keep track, have I applied, have I not applied? But I don't know if a lot of guys will use this, but just in case you guys do, you're going to have to make a connection with an API key, a personal access token in here. So what you're going to do, this I'll walk through step by step because it's super quick. You're going to make a new token. You're going to call it whatever you want. Let's say jobs application. And we got to give it the scope. All we have to do is write, click on type up, write. Let me move my face. The scope, we have to add 3 things. It's very simple. Write, read, and then I think it was this one, schema basis read. Yes. Make sure you have the exact same thing as I have, and you'll be just fine. And then simply add the base, whatever you want to give it access to. You can give it access to everything in your workspace. That's nothing bad. Create the token, copy that token, and head back to make.com. All you're going to do here, add a connection, Airtable token. You're going to name it whatever you want, and you simply paste it here, and boom, your Airtable is now connected to your make.com scenario with your AI agent. Now, all that's left here is for you to actually import this template into your own and make it your own. As I said before, all of the resources, all of the templates, the JSON file to be able to import into this are all in the Notion site in the description. All you have to do is simply import it. And then all you're going to do is you're going to make sure you put in your generic resume instead of mine, or else you're going to get resumes, tailored resumes and tailored cover letters for me, which is maybe not something that you want. And all you have to do is replace all of these connections. Now, I made this within 2 hours, but realistically, that's just because I was having trouble with the node connections and everything. You guys, since you can just import it and then replace all the connections, and I've showed everything, you can easily get this done within 30 minutes. Now, as you guys can see, this is a very simple make.com scenario, very simple AI agent. This is perfect for beginners, anybody who's looking into AI automations and that type of space overall, or if you're just a person who's on the job search, I am very sure this will help you, or at least implementing this method of tailoring your resume for every single job application will carry you very far. Because I know that a lot of job hiring managers, if you think about it, if you just sit there and think about it, would you take someone who's simply just quick applying, who just wants a job? If you're a small business, or even if you're a huge corporation, would you want a worker who just wants to work? Or would you want someone who actually wants to work for your company? You want someone who wants to work for your company, and you want someone who's the perfect fit for your company. Now, as someone who's looking for a job, you want to be this perfect fit, and you can only show this through your resume. Nowadays, I know there are lots of like video introductions and everything like that, so you can also look into that. Now, this agent simply outputs the resume and the job listing and the cover letter for you. All you have to do, download them, put them into Indeed, ZipRecruiter, whatever platform that you're using. Simply apply for these jobs and let me know how it works for you in the comments. Now, if you have any questions, you can book a free AI agent consultation with me. Of course, it's 30 minutes. I can help you implement this into your workflow right away. If you have any questions, you can also reach me out in the comments or my LinkedIn. And I think that's it for today. So let me know how this works for you guys. I would really like to see if this can actually get somebody a job. But even if you can't implement this agent, please implement this method of tailoring your resume for every single job application. I'm telling you, maybe even 20 tailored resume job applications a day are a lot better than 200 generic ones, because you're just copy and pasting the same thing and nothing's going to change. Anyways, that's it for today. This is a very great AI automation. I post lots of things like this using NAN, make.com, retail AI, any type of